So hi everyone, my name is Samantha. I am part of the Stridy team. So a bit about myself before I begin. I've been diving for over 10 years and I've actually been doing cleanups on my own for the past 10 years. So actually, I have a question to ask you today. You know, for Singapore, we're known as a garden city, but I'd like to ask you a question. Are we a clean city or are we a cleaned city? Oh yeah, don't worry. Hold on. Okay, great. So I'm here to share with you about my experience. Having done cleanups over the past 10 years, and during the pandemic, being stuck here in Singapore, I noticed so many different things. So much litter wherever I go, masks all over the floor, wet wipes littering most of the places like car parks. So I ask you, do you really think Singapore is a clean city? So I bring to you this example by Professor Tommy Koh in 2019. He wrote this op-ed, and he said one of the problems is that we in Singapore, we don't have habits that are commendable for a first world city. In Liang Teng Lit's actually article in 2017, did you know for a city of 5 million people, we have 70,000 cleaners? And why that is shocking is because in Taiwan, we have 4 times the number of our population, they only have 5,000 cleaners. So I asked myself, why are we having this problem? Last year alone, there were over 20,000 littering tickets given out. Can you imagine? And that's people who actually got caught. Not those that, throw on the side or driving on the road and flicking their cigarette butts out. I've seen all of that happen. So a bit about myself. Being stuck here in Singapore, I spent the past 2 years really cleaning up the beach. And then I also realized it's also not about cleaning the beaches. It's also things that happen on our streets. And I'll be honest, it's very demotivating. Haven't done this for 10 years. There are days I feel like, oh my goodness, why am I doing this? This is coming back. When people see me cleaning East Coast Park, they think I've committed a crime and I'm doing corrective work order. So this comes to why we have Stridy. This is an idea we came up with to really address the problem of littering. We're not able to hang out in more of groups of 2, 5, or 8 throughout this whole period. And at the same time, I needed a way to feel motivated to keep going. So I will show you this is what we have, which is the Stridy app. So the Stridy app is kind of a partner. We are a non-profit app where we want to make cleanups fun and exciting. We don't mean you have to be hardcore and go to the beach and spend 2 hours picking litter. We want to give you the example that litter can be picked up no matter where you go, no matter how long it takes. So right now, this app is actually optimized and is available on the App Store or the Google Play Store. We have just finished our MVP and we've been working on it for the past 6 months. So I'm really proud to say because when we launched the app last year, I realized even though there are days I felt so tired, collectively I was realizing that I was spending so much time and I was making such a strong impact. To put this into action, over the past 3 months, I calculated I did 20 small cleanups. I walked over 4 kilometers, and I actually picked up over 1,000 pieces of items. And this is what one person alone is doing. So this app allows us for us to work as a community. Like I mentioned, it can be demoralizing and very tiring to do cleanups. So at the same time, we've also built in a team function where people can get together to collectively track the impact. And not only that, this app is applicable to anyone in the world. So if you have friends, family in different countries, you can form your own teams, and together you can actually see the impact that you've done, despite feeling very far apart. So this is our vision. We really want to create a global community, but starting here from Singapore. We believe Singaporeans can be the first to set a great example of what good citizenship can make, especially in creating a cleaner and greener country. So what we've achieved so far, it's amazing. In the past 1 year since we've been actively working on our MVP, we have over 40,000 pickups. We have people who have downloaded our app in 30 different countries. We have 693 Striders, as we call it, and over 1,000 cleanups logged. So as part of the Youth Action Challenge, after we had our MVP, we wanted to take a bit further. We realized that while developing the app, there were some kinks that we had to figure out. So firstly, we wanted to get a user perspective. We wanted to understand the user journey and who are our target audience. So through this survey we did over the YC Youth Action Challenge, we had over 200 respondents, and we came up with these 3 key topics. So everyone in Singapore agrees that litter is a national issue. People believe the public has an important part to play, but yet how often do we even pick up the litter for fear of perception, fear of sanitary and hygiene, And the ironic thing is people love picking up in groups, but they don't want to join a new group. They rather do it with their friends and their community. And this is where we feel Stridy comes in. So through our whole process of research, user research and development, we realized that currently for our Stridy app, when we build our MVP, there are still some gaps. So firstly, communication still tends to be a challenging issue. We understand there are so many apps out there. Why would people actually use our app? We also understand that there are some UI and UX gaps. Being an MVP, we didn't have enough resources or time to further leverage. And lastly, we realized that although we focus on teams, we haven't fully utilized it. We haven't worked on our branding. Oh dear. Okay, so never mind, you can just look at me. So lastly, as part of the YAC grant, what we really want to do is expand Stridy in Singapore. We believe the funding will allow us to redevelop our app, to work on the UI and UX, and at the same time as well, help us grow our team to be able to have a very strong focus on marketing and communication so that people are aware of what we are doing and how we can contribute. Oh, how did I jump here? So yes, that is the end of my pitch, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. May we please now invite questions and comments from the judges?
Okay, my question is, I think, can you share more about how you make this app more sustainable, financially, so that, or is it, how do you mobilize volunteers to keep this app going?
So in the beginning of the app, it was still angel funded. So now that we have completed our first development, we are going towards revenue generating activities. So example of that is organizing workshops. We are providing our knowledge and expertise. So we're also used as a tool for corporations or groups to be able to collectively have that impact. So an example, last year we ran a pilot with Raffles Institution. They did pay us to run a workshop, so we got all the students to go out and use the app, and then collectively they were able to see that impact. So I think in just 3 days, you realize that 50 students had spent over 15 hours cleaning and picking up over 1,000 pieces of litter alone. So this is how we feel we're able to generate revenue. And I don't say profit because we are aimed to be a non-profit, but we hope our revenue generating activities can sustain the work. And as well, we do have a strong volunteer team.
Yeah, okay. As a social enterprise, sustainability is also a very important part of it, so that you can continue the good work. So have you ever thought of, getting corporates to sponsor, some of your projects, as part of their ESG and things like that? That could also be a source of revenue for you.
Yes, thank you. And actually, that's what we have begun conversations with. So I can't say the brand name yet, but we're in talks with a few FMCGs. We're also in talks with the PA and RCs to also see how we can work with the RCs to have a lot of fun competitions, doing cleanups among themselves. So we are trying to, like I say, we are trying to reach out to the masses and grow our revenue base.
That's awesome.
Limitations of the app right now. So let's say you have the resources. What would be the first thing you'd like to improve? The UI, for example, and how can you sort of galvanize a greater movement, not just Singapore, but around the world? Thank you.
Okay, so if I understand your question, is firstly on how to improve the app and how I grow this global movement. So when we first developed the app, it was done through a lens of someone like me who has always been doing cleanups. So that was one of the errors that we had made. So with the funding, we really want to look at optimizing UI UX by doing a heuristic review, meaning that we get professionals to actually look at our app, find some trigger points, identify ease of access towards using the app. At the moment, we still feel that there's a bit of work to be done in onboarding the system. So we feel that with these professional capabilities, we'll be able to optimize it further. And secondly, how are we going to do a global movement? So at the moment, because I am part of a few regional activities, that's how we get the many countries. I've been asking my friends to download and use it, but we realized the challenge is really building a community. It's easy for someone to download the app and do a cleanup, but how do you get them to consistently use it? So we are definitely looking at global expansion, and this is through regional partnerships, like working with ASEAN communities. We're also looking at working with global companies that have different functions in different countries. So right now we're actually planning for a corporate activation with over 30 offices in the world. So we hope that there will be a good test bed and launch to see how global this app can go.
We have time for about one final question.
Very well done, Peach. I'm just trying to understand the UI UX that you mentioned about, right? So that means that somebody logs in, they go in to say, okay, this is the amount I pick. So do you track like calories burn? Because they're like, what, 3 kilometers now? And how do you keep that user keep on coming back to the app? You mentioned UI UX. I'm just wondering though, what is that motivation that you're trying to bring to that individual?
Thank you for your question. So that's a very fine line, right? Because when you use the app, you're not doing something that is sexy, you're doing something that is tiring. So what this does, it actually tracks your movements in a sense that it's up to the user when you log in a piece of item or trash you've collected. It has a little GPS mark, but I just want to make sure that all our information is private and confidential. However, on a global map, you can see your impact, where you've been. So for me, I was actually on a holiday in Switzerland for the VTL. I planted a flag there. So that helps me feel motivated even when I'm not in Singapore. Secondly, about getting users back, right now we're also working on a redemption plan. This feature is not fully developed in the app, and we're hoping the YC grant can support it. But what we're trying to do is be able to reward users, but not reward users in a way that I give them money, because we do feel that can sort of defeat the purpose of the cleanup, but sort of partner maybe e-commerce apps. So for example, if you pick 500 pieces of litter, you can get a 50% discount code, like 15% discount code for certain e-commerce shop. So we're trying to find the fine balance where we're not trying to be an app which will encourage people to abuse the system, but to provide like gentle nudges towards more sustainable actions.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for Q&A.
Okay, thank you. And quick plug, please follow us on Instagram and download our app. Thank you.